Sahana bhavatu sahanau punaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have been studying about how a human being goes through the three states of consciousness and does not know about the fourth state of consciousness, which is his original nature. Just as when we go into the dream state, we forget about who or what we are in our waking state, so too the wise sages tell us that whilst we are in the waking state, we have forgotten what our original state is. And the whole purpose of spiritual sadhana, of spiritual means, the word sadhana means sadhan is a tool or a means. So when you say spiritual sadhana, you mean the tools that are required for you to find the spirit. So when you do your spiritual sadhana, the purpose of it obviously is to find your original nature. This we cannot know, because just like in the dream, there's no way you can know who the waker is, right? There's no way. You can't know this. You cannot prove it. You cannot disprove it. There's nothing you can do with it. It is just something told to us by those people who said, well, we reached that state. So we either take their word for it or we don't. So then you say, why should we take their word for it? You decide. You want to take Christ's word, you want to take Buddha's word, you want to take Krishna's word or not. You make your call on that. That's up to you. But the more important thing that we should understand is when we use these means, we do come closer and closer to being more authentic to ourselves, more integrated with ourselves, and more coherent with ourselves. That gives us some indication, some clue that maybe there is more to this. This is not just about believing great people, but there is something more to this that deserves investigation. You don't say yes, it's so, or no, it's not so, but you say this definitely needs more investigation, because every time you do something, you use those means, you find the byproducts of happiness, knowledge, dynamism, self-sufficiency. You find all these byproducts. And, oh my God, there must be something to it. So that's our only clue. We have no other clue. There's no way we can tell whether there is another state or there isn't another state. God alone knows now. Quite literally, God alone knows. So can't tell, but we can tell so much. So now, in our attempt to understand this important thing, we understand what should be understood anyway, which is the composition of our personality. If you don't know this personality, forget knowing that one. So the first step, obviously, is to understand who or what this personality is, which is what we have so far studied. So we have studied how to analyze it. We've analyzed it in various ways. Okay, first we started by saying all of us are spirit and matter. There is an original nature, there is an inner nature, and there is this outer being. This is what we have. The inner nature and the outer being are the material components within us. The original nature, the real nature, is the spirit. Now we can analyze this in another way. We can say we have Pancha Koshas, which means we have this kosha, this covering of the physical body. Then we have internal to it the pranas, the vital air, the 5 physiological functions. Internal to that, we have a mind, our emotions. Internal to that, we have the Vijnanamaya kosha, the intellect. Further within is the causal body, the vasanas, and all the way inside, deep within the recesses of the inner personality, lies who we really are. So to reach that point, we have to go traverse our way all the way through this. All the sheets have to be covered. There are other ways of looking at it also, which is the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Deep sleeper means when the consciousness functions through the vasanas. Means there's spirit and there's vasanas. And what we experience when that happens is deep sleep. There is spirit, means our original nature never leaves, right? So that's always a constant. It's like light, constant. So the speed of light is constant and original nature is constant. So sometimes we say body, mind, intellect. When you say you're made of body, mind, intellect, you're forgetting the constant there. So we have to remind ourselves, body, mind, intellect, and self. Because like I say, now suppose I ask you what is in this room. What can you see on your, what is there here? And you will say there's a bookshelf, there is a speaker, there is some plant, there are some curtains, there's a wall. Nobody's going to talk about oxygen. And yet oxygen, without oxygen being there, there's nothing, none of this is working. So whatever is constant is missed. So if I say, what's deep sleep? Everybody tell me vasanas. No. What's the right answer? What's deep sleep?
Consciousness of
Ignorance.
Okay, one at a time. Jyoti, you were saying something?
consciousness working through the vasanas, showing up through the vasanas.
Not showing up, just there.
There.
Not showing up at all. If it showed up, then there are no vasanas. Remember what the word vasanas mean. Don't let go of that. Can you tell me what the word vasanas mean?
Inherent nature.
We call it that because otherwise it becomes impossible for us to understand what it is.
It is basically was fragrance.
Effervescence, man.
The cause
Okay,
of
sorry,
action.
one second. Milind, what were you saying?
It's was means fragrance.
Yes, that's the etymology of it. But what does it mean? Manoj?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, the effervescence or fragrance.
Oh, okay. Then who else was saying something? Akhila says unmanifest desires. Jyoti, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, the same, the unmanifest action,
Desires. Action, correct.
thought, and desire.
Right. You're all right. Seed form,
Ignorance.
correct. Complete the sentence, Reshma.
Ignorance of the self.
Very good. Excellent. What does vasanas mean? It's avidya, ignorance of the self, not vidya, knowledge, avidya, non-knowledge. It is ignorance of the self. So Jyoti, if it shows up, how can there be ignorance of the self? Right? So once you, it's very interesting in philosophy. There's only one thing that you need to understand philosophy, and that is called, tell me what? Paying attention. That's all it requires. Just paying attention. Because the moment you pay it attention, you immediately understand what it's talking about. You'll never make an error because now you know vasana means ignorance of the self. So there's no way you will ever say self is wrong. Just have to pay attention. That is why doing karma is a very good thing because it forces you to pay attention. You will be amazed that my karma, everybody's working very hard, right? So what is my karma? Nobody gives me any work because they're all taken up all the work and nobody's giving me any work to do. Everybody's doing that. You know what is my main karma? Those who are doing karma and are in association with me, I'm sure no. You know what is my main karma? Firing people. That's all I do. Really, it's literally all I do. And now people are all mad at me because firstly I do nothing and then I fire them. Now, obviously they're mad at me. I hope not too much at least. Why do you think everybody gets fired?
Not paying attention.
Not paying attention in work if you can't pay attention. What are you going to do it in philosophy? Suppose somebody sends me a mail, okay, for approval. I'm supposed to approve the mail before it goes out. I will say give 5 errors in that mail. Okay, so the person who reads that has to either correct the 5 errors or debate them. Say that no, this is not. This should not be like this. But it'll come back to me with 3 errors correct. Then what is my job?
Fire.
Get fired.
Then I have to fire them. It's come to you in a written form. Correct X, Y, Z, A, B, C. After you correct X, Y, Z, look up. Are all of them corrected? No. Send it back immediately. We're not in a hurry. Get the work off our table. Send it back. Then the person has to read it again and see whether you have corrected the 5 errors. Then you're not correct. So you send it again. Then another 2 are left. Madhouse. How will we be an efficient organization if we don't teach ourselves to pay attention? We're too busy. We're too carrying on like 5 different things at the same time. We won't pay attention to one thing. That's why I keep saying, please put your video on, because minimum, at least in class, you be there, not checking your emails while this is going on, not asking the maid to put the pressure cooker on while this is going on. Can't do it like that. And the worst thing is, when we start living life like that, the quality of our life goes down, because we are in a constantly agitated state. Hello, you don't have to behave like a popcorn on a hot tawa. We are human beings. We don't have to keep jumping up and down. We can sit down, chill. We have a brain. It's meant to be used. They gave it to us free. You have to just use it. If somebody gave you a washing machine free, you'll use it, no? You got a brain, it's given free, use it. Abha, you are not muted, I think. Abha, you put your video on and keep the sound off. Everybody, please put your video on. I don't know how much this internet can take also. For you, it's for you to know that you have to pay attention. Now, if you train yourself in the art of paying attention, what will happen?
Clarity.
Better focus, clarity.
Progress will be fast.
Progress in what?
Will be fast in self improvement.
You will understand philosophy. We don't forget what is the point we were on. Please don't get carried away with this, that, and so many things. It is the speaker's job to do whatever the speaker wants. Go anywhere, talk of anything, do anything. It is your job to ensure that you are following the flow of thought. Speaker will take off, go anywhere, talk of anything in the world. You please keep connected to what you have come for. What have you come for? You have come to learn philosophy. So you keep connected to that. Okay? Then say, why is the speaker troubling us? Why don't you just stay to the point? Because if I stay completely on the point, then you fall off to sleep. If I move away from the point, then you move away from the point. Now, what am I supposed to do? So give me a break. Okay? So remember the flow of thought so far. We have 3 states of consciousness, which we know of. The first one is deep sleep, and that is
The ignorance of the vasanas.
okay, Nidhi, that is, you're right, but that was off the point. We are now coming back to the point. What is deep sleep?
The consciousness functioning through vasanas.
Consciousness functioning through vasanas. This state, as we experience it, we call that state deep sleep. And we must say consciousness functioning through vasanas. Otherwise, we think only vasanas is deep sleep. No, nothing is only. Everything is consciousness. It's a constant. To remind ourselves, we have to say it. Otherwise, we forget what we've come here to do. So, the consciousness or the self or the Atman, whatever word you want to use, functioning through vasanas, enlivening those vasanas, is us in deep sleep. This state is called unmanifest. Why is it called unmanifest? Because in this state, we are all equal. So whether it is a criminal or a saint, whether it is Einstein or a Dumbo, when they are asleep, all equal. Unmanifest. Until the personality starts manifesting. How does it first manifest? It manifests as thoughts. The subtle body manifests. And what we experience are dreams. That's what we call our dream world, because just the thoughts are floating around. It's called dreams. Why dreams? Because it has no connection to a gross, real world as the world that happens when our bodies come into action. Now, if you understand this carefully, you will understand also how much of the time when we are in the so-called waking world or in the so-called real world, how much of our thoughts are not in association with the reality that is currently around us. We sort of live in some kind of mental vacuum. Mental vacuum in the sense our minds are moving around. And it's almost like nothing to do with the world you exist in. And surprising as it may sound, that is why we have marital trouble. Because no association with the ground realities at all. That is why we find trouble at work. Because we are not taking the time to see what is. We are all the time living in some mental world of our own. So therefore, aren't we continuing dreams even when we are so-called awake? We expect things to be different from what they are. Okay, that's bad in itself. Then we act. Our behavior is with reference to things as they aren't. And then we're surprised, oh, I'm such a nice person, but the world treats me so badly. What is your niceness got to do with anything? You are acting stupid. You are living in a dream world. You're sleepwalking, and therefore you bump into things. Wake up. So just understanding the concept of waker, dreamer, deep sleeper can open our minds out to so much more. I see why it's such an important concept. But you need to think about it. You need to chew it, play with it. If you just go about it like, oh, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, I understand. Now next topic. Then it doesn't work like that. Then it'll be like just words. Oh, that Khalil Gibran, no? No, that was Hamlet. What readest thou, my lord? Words. And then repeat those words, memorize those words, vomit out those words to whoever gives you half a year. Very, very sad. The noble knowledge gone down the drain. So, if you don't want the noble knowledge to go down the drain, what do you need to do?
Pay attention.
Very good. Pay attention. Think about it. See it in a real world sense. Don't see it in a vacuum sense. Oh, it should be like this. People should not have desires. Why are you getting into whether somebody else should have a desire or not? Typical thing I hear men tell me, my wife is full of desires, but I'm not like that. Some women also speak like that, but lots of men speak like that. She is full of desires. No, I'm not like that. If you know she's full of desires, behave in accordance to that understanding. Don't behave as if she doesn't have desires. So what does that mean? If she says, I want to go to see a film, then you say,
Sure.
huh?
Let's go.
Let's go. That
Or find a friend for her.
a great idea. You want to see a film? Great idea. You don't have to commit to do everything she wants to do. But why don't you let her do what she wants to do? I can't understand. No. Seeing films, such a bad thing. You're so extroverted. Mad or something? You are in the judgment of who's extroverted and who's not. God doesn't judge us. Who are we to judge anyone? Somebody wants to see a film. Great idea. Please do. Somebody wants to eat out. Great idea. Please do. Is it our business to go on telling everybody what they should be doing in life? I don't know, Madeline, how it is in France. I haven't been to France. I hope to go one day. I haven't been though. Now, I don't know how it is over there, but in India, if you happen to be a family member or friend, even friend, you get the right to comment on other people's lives. It's the most amazing thing here. And it is the most, I don't know what word. You get the right. If you happen to be my sister, Madeline, I have the right to tell you who you should marry, what studies you should take up, what career you should do, how you should have spoken to somebody, what your interests in life should be. Complete insanity. Who are we to tell anybody all these things? Is it like that in France also, Madeline?
Less.
Less. Okay, thank God. Otherwise, I'd have to change my desire to go to France. The same thing in France, then what is the point? Everybody has a view on what everybody else does. And if you're married to that person, God help you. And if that person you're married to comes to class, you better just run away from that person. Because now this person has the righteous indignation of knowing the truth. सबके सब पागल है.
Janki ji,
Yes.
good morning. Surely there's a generation difference gap now because I'm in UK and obviously of my generation ancestors thought like we do that you have a right to interfere in everyone's life. But now we find it quite a step up when I tell my daughter, for example, I said, oh, you shouldn't, no, that's my life. So there's a big change, a jump from the generation, my generation to the generation now. So how did that sort of come around? Is that their understanding or?
No, you are.
I don't know.
No, it is exposure.
Right.
So if we go to France now and we live there and we have children there, those children will behave like the Frenchies. If Madeline comes to India, gets married and has children here, then those children will live like Indians. Exposure. See, in the urban centers, all the children are running away from their parents. And you know what they call it? Going abroad to study. They call it that. But what the real point is, hell, I want to get the hell out of here. That is what the real point is. So it's exposure. When you get exposed to the fact that, when we were young, we didn't know we could say no to our parents. We didn't have that information only. And so now the kids have the information. Oh, we don't have to follow. Is it? Oh, wonderful. Anyway, these parents are eating the head of their children. Can you imagine what the parents are doing to the children? It's awful. And so the children are running away. And then they say, oh, nowadays children, they are not obedient. Nowadays parents, they are not sensible. That's the right complaint. Not that they are not obedient. Okay, now why is all this happening? You all are still with the line of thought. Why is all this happening?
Not paying attention.
Yeah, not paying attention to what? Can you finish it so it's clear what the connection is?
To what is happening around us.
Very good. We still continue to live in a dream world. And the consequences, disharmony, discontinuity, and friction. But you'll get all that from Waker, Deeper, Dreamer, Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper only if you pay attention and think about it. Otherwise, we'll go on thinking, what a theoretical topic Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper is. So theoretical. What am I supposed to do with it? What are you supposed to do with it? Same that you do with everything else. Think about it. Okay, so now, were there questions finally, Bharat? Bharat, are you there? We did say questions, but are there any questions?
Not so far, but we still have to finish that last paragraph.
Yes, that I know, but I want to know how much time we have to leave since we did say questions. Okay, so nobody has any question. Okay, chalo then. Let us read the last paragraph. So, okay, one last point before we go there is not only I alone, but all of us go through these states, right? So everyone's vasanas all put together is known as
Ishwar.
Ishvara.
Ishvara. Now this word Ishvara is a beautiful word. It's a superb word actually. And it's a crazy word. And to realize how crazy that word is, you have to go back to Sanskrit. The word Ishvara, the root of that word, is the Sanskrit root Ish. And the Sanskrit root Ish gives you the other word, which is Ichha. Ichha means desire. So you have the same root for the word Lord and the word desire, indicating just by grammar that the Lord of all things is desire. So when all of our desires put together, that means all our vasanas put together, makes the Lord. That will determine what happens. Okay, so all these, how many people in class today? Let's see. 47 people have all dropped out. 47 people in class today will determine how this particular class goes. Because those vasanas, that set of vasanas, is the Lord of this class. We each feel something or somebody is important, but actually the Lord is the totality. Because by the wish of that, with everything happens. You can do whatever you want, you know. People in March 2020, right? In March 2020, were planning so many things. I don't know, but Deepak, no, Deepak's not there, right? Deepak was planning a lecture in Singapore for February, and we even sent the books there. Our books are still lying in Singapore. I wonder whether they're still there. We sent the books there because that was the plan. We were going there for a lecture. And how many plans? Each one of you must have had plans, right? People bought houses, got married. Not got married means announced their marriages. And then suddenly, the whole thing shifted. And 2 years later, we are still wondering what hit us. Who did this? Ishvara. So the total, like for our planet, the Ishvara is everyone's desires all put together. Every being here. And we want to predict the future? We must be insane. You can barely predict what you are going to do. How are you going to predict future events? We can't even predict the weather. Forget events. Did you know that Russia was going to attack Ukraine, and then whatever share market was going to fall. Everybody's saying it's going to reach 1 lakh. We're going to reach 1 lakh. Next to know it's fallen. What are you talking? Prediction of the future. Any prediction of the future is a gamble. Gambles ought not to be done. We can determine our goals. We cannot determine what will happen. So let us restrict our intellectual activity to determining our goals. Life will happen. We will deal with what happens. But we must be clear where we are going. Otherwise, there's no way to deal with anything. So Ishvara is the total. Then there are all our thoughts put together. Which thoughts means consciously we're saying or doing something. All right. So in the class also, how the class will go is everybody's vasanas put together. But people are also consciously at some point doing something, maybe asking a question, maybe whatever, some point consciously doing it. That is called the golden womb, Hiranyagarbha, the manifested thoughts. And then there is Virat, the physical structure of things. Like in this class, what is our physical structure? For you, what is a physical structure of a class now?
Being awake in the class.
No, physical structure.
Online mode.
Yeah, a laptop or a phone, whatever it is you're looking at, that's your physical structure, that's your Virat. But if you were in the real world class, then your Virat would be that. All of it put together. Now, Virat for us is, for us means not in the class, but for the planet is the whole thing. So that's why when Krishna shows everything within his form, that form is referred to as Virata Purusha. You're seeing all the physical entities in one physical entity as it were. Okay, so that's quite simple, isn't it? So anything else we need to cover? And of course, you know that the deep sleeper, individual deep sleeper, individual dreamer, and individual waker. That I think we have covered in fair detail. All good so far? Bharat, you wanted to say something?
No. Thank you.
All right, so please explain the difference between Lord and God. Lord means Lord and God. I don't know what you mean. Look up the dictionary. Reshma, look up dictionary for Lord and look up dictionary for God and read it to us. If you're asking about the words.
The regular dictionary?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Janki ji,
Mhm.
when we say vasanas is ignorance of the self, and we say Ishvara is everyone's vasanas put together, so that's everybody's ignorance put together of the self?
You caught me there, Jyoti. No, because there's only one ignorance of the self. Think of this. This is totally out of context. It's an unfortunate thing that I tell all the class members to think, because then I get into trouble. Okay, so this is completely out of context. But there is no multiple ignorance of the self. There is only one ignorance of the self, and only you have it. Think of it as your dream. When you went to sleep, you saw many people there. You saw many things happening there. right? So from the perspective of the dream, you say it is a combination of all these things. But from the perspective of the waker, there is only one person there. There are no multiple entities. So there's
So
not your
everyone is in
Vasana.
the dream level.
In your dream, yeah. In your dream is this class. Lord, a man of noble rank or high office, a nobleman is not in this context. So you'll have to find another meaning for Lord. Lord can be a ruler. Lord is somebody who is the head, a ruler, things like that.
Governor.
So the Lord of, I don't know, the Lord of India is Modi. I can say that, right? But I can't say he's not God, he's just the Lord. However, the ultimate Lord is God. So often these two words are used synonymously by people. The Lord of your house, Reshma, is maybe your father. I don't know. Maybe you are. I don't know. But that doesn't mean you are God. So Lord and God mean two different things, but are sometimes used synonymous because the eventual Lord is God in that sense. God you've got, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority, the supreme being. We use it here as the supreme being. Yes, the Lord of the court, correct, is the judge. So he's referred to as Lord, your lordship. So what the Lord means the governor, the ruler, the head, the highest person, all of that. Man, yesterday morning, Rod Marsh died. Shane Warne paid his tribute to him, and he died in the evening. Well, such is life. What can one do? And we are today talking about this in the morning, Milind. So I don't know what exactly is your point. So you don't know what is going on. Everybody clear up to this point? Shall we read further? Okay, let's go further. Who will read?
I will read.
Go ahead.
If the microcosm is likened to a drop of water, the macrocosm would be the ocean. Both the drop and ocean are water. He who understands water in the drop understands water in the ocean, water everywhere. Likewise, he who realizes the self within realizes the self in one and all, the all-pervading being. Discovers the consciousness around which the microcosm and macrocosm revolve, attains spiritual enlightenment. If the microcosm is compared to a drop of water, then the ocean is the macrocosm. The drop and the ocean are the same. If one understands the water in the drop, then one understands the water in the ocean and the water everywhere. Similarly, if one understands the self, one will realize the self in everyone, the all-pervading being, and will find the consciousness around which revolves the microcosm and the macrocosm.
Okay, the last few lines were not necessary in summary, but you're right. You understand the drop, you understood the ocean. Means you understood the water in the ocean. You understand the self in yourself. You understand the self anywhere. In fact, it is true not only about the self, but at every level of the personality. To the extent that your understanding is of the material well-being, your own, to that extent, your focus, your understanding is on other people's material well-being or otherwise, both in yourself and in the world. So if you are extremely conscious of the fact that you're rich or poor, you will be equally conscious of the fact that somebody else is rich or poor. Your way of looking at it will be like that. If you're extremely conscious about something about your physical body, that you're very fit, that you're very dark, that you're very fair, that you're very tall, very short, very fat, very thin, whatever your consciousness be of, you will be conscious of that in other people, in other things. You will see that, talk about that. Say, oh, what a pretty person, or an ugly person, or a fat person, or a tall person, or whatever. Because that is what you're relating to in yourself. If you're extremely conscious about your emotions, okay, all that time you look at life from that perspective of your own. That's what you see in others, such a sweet person, or not sweet person, such a rude person. I don't like this person. Now that when to such people, it doesn't matter whether you're fat or tall or thin or rich or poor. Are you speaking to them nicely? Are you relating to them emotionally? That's all they are concerned with. Especially elderly women and all. They are not concerned so much with like your granny and all. They're not so concerned with what money you made. Are you speaking to them nicely? Are you sitting with them? Are you exchanging emotion with them? They're only concerned with that. Because that's what they're relating to. If you go to intellectual, you go to Einstein or Sheldon, they are only relating to that. Like, are you talking sense? Are you not talking sense? Are you a logical person, not a logical person? Are you relating like that? Because that's what they are conscious within themselves. When you are conscious of the self within yourself, you see your identity as the self. And that's what you'll see everywhere. So it's not only restricted to the self, it's the same principle throughout. You're very conscious of which area you live in. Suppose you live in a slum, then you live very, very conscious that those people live in the rich parts of the city. Or if you are very conscious that you live in the elitist part of the city, then you will become very conscious of the people when they say, I don't know if you ever noticed that. I mean, first question they ask you, where do you stay? Because that's the yardstick. Everybody will have some mental yardstick, right, of how they are slotting you in their brain. So some people will say, where do you stay? Because that's how they are slotting you in their brain. So you say a good area, then they'll be friends with you. And you say a bad area, then they won't be friends with you. Or if they have an inferiority complex, that they don't live in a good area and you claim to live in a good area, they again won't speak to you. They say, oh, those people we don't want. Because of their complex. Like as if everybody who lives at Marine Drive is something in particular. Or everybody who lives in Gurgaon or GK2 is something in particular. Or somebody who stays in central London has to be this way. How does the geography determine what you're like? So whatever we are conscious of within ourselves, we will be conscious of the same thing outside. Simple. Now, I think we have finished this chapter. We've also finished the sort of summary of the chapter. We've done it a lot. Now we have 10 minutes of class left. You are free to ask any question of your choice. General question or this, or pertaining to the chapter, whatever you want. Whatever
I had
you
a question.
One
I
second,
was
that's
wondering.
whatever you want pertaining to philosophy. Otherwise, if I say whatever you want, then I don't know what will come out of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Deepak, go ahead.
it does pertain to philosophy. So it was said the Vasana manifests as thoughts, and it first manifests in the intellect. But I was wondering, like, suppose say someone has a Vasana for mangoes. Like, I couldn't figure out how that will manifest in the intellect. I could only think about like it will manifest as a feeling that, I want mangoes. I I just couldn't figure out how it will manifest in the intellect first.
Very simple. It comes as the first thought. But the thought it is gone by so fast that it has become as a desire before you even know what happened. Intellect never got engaged when the first thought came, but it went through it. It is like, the guy at the custom or at the custom toll, whatever, you're driving your car through it. You have to drive it. You have no option. But the chap is asleep, so you drove through it. That's what happens to us all the time. The Vasana must manifest through the toll of the intellect. And it does. But that toll guy is asleep. So the car goes through. So you say, well, my intellect didn't play at all. Yes, correct. It didn't play, but it had to go through that thing. Because that's how your personality functions. It's like if you want to go on the ceiling, you have to go through the toll.
I
Is
see.
it clear?
Thank you.
Jankit, if I can add to what you just said. Yeah, it just happened with me like when I used to fast sometimes. Throughout the year, I'm drinking water. And while fasting, we're not supposed to drink water. And sometimes I would just gulp the water and then remember that, oh, I'm fasting. So it's like you said, the thought just passed through the intellect directly without censoring.
Yeah, good example. You've done it before you know what happened. But because that chap is asleep at the toll booth, he never collected the toll. Balakumar, you want to say something?
Madam, self-awareness of myself is the first step towards awareness of God. Is it correct?
Yes and no. Awareness of, it's like saying that, where do you live, Balakumar?
Chennai, madam, Chennai.
So it's like saying that getting out of the gate of my building is the first step. I'm in Mumbai. So coming out of the gate of my building is the first step to going to Chennai. It's like that. Yes, okay. You're right. But it's a long way after that. And there's no guarantee that you're going to reach. So then is that sentence wrong? No, that sentence is in itself right. But then you have to remove the word first step. Then you have to say knowledge of yourself is knowledge of God. Then that sentence is right. If you take it as the first step, then first step and God is very far off. So technically right, but not. It's literally like saying, no, as I live in Mumbai, I have to leave my gate to come to Chennai. Correct. But just because I left my gate doesn't mean I'm even leaving Mumbai. Or even my locality for that matter. Is that clear? So if you want to make a right sentence, you have to say knowledge of yourself is knowledge of God.
Thank you, madam.
That then is correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
But also it is equally true that if you don't know yourself, as in your limited personality, what are you talking about knowing God? Can't be done. In other words, if I don't leave my building, how am I going to reach Chennai?
Shankiji, taking the last example of person going from Mumbai to Chennai. So you said you're mentioning about the correctness of, I don't know if it's the right word, about correctness of the sentence, but so having a knowledge of, say, Chennai, is it although you haven't reached there or you haven't even taken the first step to go, is knowledge of, like you said, knowledge of the self is knowledge of God or something else. So is that some, can that be used in an example about Chennai, that you have the knowledge where to go, what to do, how to get there, but you haven't actually taken the first step yet? I don't know if I'm clear on that.
No, it's not referring to that. In philosophy, knowledge is equal to wisdom. Philosophy makes no difference between that. So in other words, knowledge of Chennai in the example will be knowledge of Chennai is equal to being in Chennai, as far as this example goes. So knowledge of the self means you realize the self. You're an enlightened being.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Janki, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead, Dhruva.
Yeah, ma'am. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Ma'am, I just like to say, ma'am, please tell me something about Advait Vedanta and Dvait Vedanta. A little bit about this.
Okay. When we come to philosophy, transcendental philosophy about trying to understand God, you have, broadly speaking, 4 ways of considering this. One thing you can take as a philosophical stance is God does not exist. This is one philosophical. You're an atheist. In India, that's known as Charvak. That because that was the philosopher who propounded it, so therefore it's called the Charvak philosophy. The second way you can think of your relationship with God is to say that I am a servant and God is a master. The large majority of humans look at it like that. I mean, the large majority of humans who believe in God believe in God like a father figure, like a king figure, like a benevolent governor figure. So like God is up there somewhere and we are down here. This division between man and God, between human and God, is known in India as Dvaita. That means 2. There are 2 entities you're accepting to exist. There is God and there is the human. God is the master, you are the servant. Then there is another philosophical view you can have of this, is that God is the whole and we are a part. Dhruva, are you still there? Why did you switch your video off? I don't know whether...
Yeah, ma'am, yeah. Okay. Okay, ma'am, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm talking to you and then I have no one to talk to.
Okay, please tell me, yeah.
Okay, so the third way you can look at this is that I am a part of God. God is the whole and all of us are little bits and pieces, parts of God. Okay, so this is known in India as Vishishta Advaita. Dvaita means 2. Advaita means not 2.
Okay, ma'am.
So 2 means what? There's a God up there, there's I down here. That's 2. Vishishta Advaita. Sorry?
God and I are Dvait Vedanta.
Yeah, there are 2 things. So that's Dvaita, 2. Then I am part of God is Vishishta Advaita, a special form of oneness with God. A lot of people have that kind of view on life. The philosophy which we are studying is Advaita. Advaita, means not, Dvaita means 2. So not 2. That means God and man is the same. A God and human being is the same. Okay. Now, what is the logic for saying something like this? Because it seems so obvious that God is up there, we are down here, or we are a small part of that infinite. The logic behind it is, if God is supposed to be infinite, then there can be no division of the infinite. Infinite minus anything is equal to
Infinite.
infinite. So how can you divide it? Now you will say, but how do I know which one is right? Is it true that there is God up there and we down here? Is it true that we are a part of that whole? Or is it that we are the whole? How do you know? For that, you have to go to Hanuman. Hanuman said, Hanuman is supposed to be the greatest bhakta of Rama.
Yes, ma'am.
So, obviously, if you think of Hanuman, it must be Dvaita because there is Hanuman and there is Rama, and Hanuman worships Rama.
Yeah, ma'am. Prabhu and Bhakt.
Yeah, but he was asked his relationship with Rama, and this is his response. He said, Deha bhavena dasosmi. When I consider my body, I am your servant. Deha bhavena, with the deha in mind, then I am your servant. When I consider my mind and intellect, I am a part of you. Because the mind and intellect take us to such high levels of inspiration, of knowledge, you feel like almost one with God. And I am a part of you. But when I consider my Atman, you and I are one.
Okay, ma'am. It's a very interesting.
So it depends on what is your perspective. If you're taking it from the sense of the body, then obviously there are two. If you're taking it from the sense of the Atman, then there is only one.
Okay, ma'am.
If you're not clear, there is also a video on the YouTube channel about it, so you can go listen to it again. The 3 philosophies or 4 philosophies, I can't remember what it's called, something like that. You look up the channel.
Whom we should believe then? We should believe in to whom we should believe. It's Advait, Dvait, or Visistha Advait.
You have to believe what appeals to you. How can I tell you what to believe in? You will take naturally what most appeals to you. Ramatirtha says that when you're very far away from God, you call him he because he's out there somewhere. As you approach God, you start talking to him, so he becomes you because he's closer. But in the ultimate stages, it is I. Anal Haq, say the Sufis. Anal Haq means I am God. Aham Brahmasmi, say the Vedantans.
Yes, ma'am.
I am God. So all those who reach their ultimate, one saying this, now where are we? We should work from where we are. Let us not worry what anyone else says. Whatever is inspiring to you, follow that.
Okay, ma'am, fine. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Janki ji, can we say that self-realization is only in Advaita?
Yeah, no. As a philosophy, yes.
Yeah, as a philosophy.
Yeah, as a philosophy, only Advaita talks about it. But even the Dvaitin will eventually have to reach there if he proceeds on his path. So that's why Advaita includes everything else. We are not saying you shouldn't take Dvaita. Please take Dvaita. Just keep doing it. Whatever it is you are inspired of, just keep doing it. You will reach Advaita. There is no, as you come closer, your own views on this will change. So do Dvaita. Dvaita appeals to you right now. Sahu Menon, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Janki.
Your voice is too soft. We can't hear you.
Karma, they say it encompasses action of. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can't. Can anybody else hear?
No, we can't.
No, can't hear.
Okay. I'll take it next time.
Okay. Okay, so was there any announcement or anything?
Yes, Janki ji, an announcement.
Yes.
Surendra here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Surendra, an important man. Yes, important announcement from Surendra.
Hari Om everyone. As you all are aware that we are planning for a Vedanta University, and for funding this university, we are planning for crowdfunding. Today evening, we are having a video call with the CEO of Fuel a Dream, that is a website vendor. Today evening at around 7 to 8. where he'll explain about this crowdfunding concept. I would request all of you to participate in this video call so that you understand what this crowdfunding is all about, and also inform your friends also to participate. So all of you, if you want to participate in this crowdfunding, you join the WhatsApp crowdfunding group. There will be posting the related crowdfund. Today's video call, Zoom call meeting invite will be posting it, so you all can join today. It's at 7 to 8 p.m. That's it, ma'am, from my side.
Okay, thank you, Surendra. He's been working very hard and he has found this nice method, different kind of crowdfunding from what we are usually used to. I'd never heard of this method. So nice if we all get together and do it. We immediately need to buy the land now that we have the land. I mean, not have the land, now that we've identified the land. Be nice if we could get it. So all those who are keen that this university comes up, let's get together, do whatever we can. Every one of us individually does a small amount, but all of us together, we can do a lot. So,
sorry, those not in the crowdfunding group as yet can get the invitation to join the group from me. So please contact me. Thank you.
oh, but we can just put it on the class group, right? And then
We've
people can.
we've already done that. But those who've missed that message also can directly message me. I can send the link.
Okay, fine. But also
Bharat,
now also we can put the link again, right?
Yeah, Bharat, we can put that link on the WhatsApp group for the video call Zoom meeting, so that anyone interested can certainly join that and understand about this crowdfunding. So
Reshma
all will be on the
has
same
put it.
page. Yeah.
Yeah. So Reshma seems to have put it. I don't know. This is it, right? Yeah. So good. Let's all get together and do it. Mukesh, we'll take your question up next time. Whenever you next come to class, ask at the beginning of the class.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's it. We'll meet again this evening. All those who are coming. All right. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.